and welcome to Breaking Bidehul 18. What if I got it all wrong and the word isn't even Bidehul? Oh, it'll be so funny. This has been a great little series of mock broadcasts, putting down on the agenda or daily budget plan for truth seekers around the world to encourage their media outlets to do stories and follow up on these various angles. Shimut, we can talk about this exposed tattle, tell one another, expose, but we can shut down these covens, we can shut down these cam houses. That'll slow that part of the operation, the laundering, the resulting counterfeiting, laundering, I don't know, the racketeering. I don't have any idea what those things, what you would call what. But the flow of the money on the other end, as despite what Jake Sullivan says, where the vast majority, he claims, support destroying Russia, it's so difficult to keep the train of thought. I have to write it all out, folks. I apologize. Thank you for bearing with me. It is indeed the rantings of a lunatic as we try to get this together. I have notes down and we have budget meeting. I would consider this an agenda or budget meeting where we're sitting down and I'm trying to talk to journalists of the world, truth seekers, not just journalists that want the truth, and come together and ask the questions about these locations that appear to be targets and assets of a very big operation that ultimately targets the children and the future leaders or the future of that human race. And those conspiracies around population limit and control seem to be here. I sat through at least half of the movie, Died Suddenly. It was on Rumble. I don't understand all of it, but it's there. Died Suddenly. I would check it out, at least. But this is a tangible way to get at those that have been working and continue to work to affect them and to have us die off. We're going to help those population control freaks by knocking out probably 1 million witches and all their spawns that Bidehul created with their plans for the end. We can frustrate the enemy's plan. And if someone understands demon slaying, I think they can send them back to hell for 200 or 300 years. Imagine that. How's that for frustrating the enemy's plan? Nope, you won't be around messing with people, families, and anywhere in any nation for the next 200 to 300 years. What? Where's the buzzer? I like that. I think that's great. The buzzer, it's funny. Now, I want to get Peter first because that's where all the money is. But I think those in Moscow, Ufa, Omsk, Kyiv, anywhere else, the real men and women of Russia, of Perm and other countries, the working men in other areas, will come and crush those spots and shut them all down on their own. We don't have to worry about that. I want to get the big one where all the money is, crush them. And the other witches will run. I mean, that's up to them and their attitude, whether to ice them, whether to let them run, whether, let that church figure it out. They can go to their church. Mommy grabs her sons, the one's the patriot that dies in Ukraine, and the gay one that will be blamed for Bidehul's child sex crimes, and the witches that are doing it in their backyard, recruiting their kids. We'll hear from the victims that got away, I should say. The young witches or would-be witches that escaped. There's a committee outside of Peter. I believe it was public television or German television that has a piece about this group that helped the girls get home. Those folks have heard and can offer that testimony about Bidehul's operations. And in Peter, how his manager, Fedor, who he calls Pope Arnold, the madam of the house, or head witch, it appears, is Tundi Rose, and his beloved witch, Frank, the one who sires what is dozens, maybe hundreds of spawns. This is just one coven, but his heart appears to be in Peter. It's a very prestigious job. It all comes down to whether or not VVP knew about the children. They all knew. They are all traitors. They're all criminals, and they all will be crushed for betraying the motherland at a time of extreme external threat. That has been revised to extreme external and internal threat. Russia is learning of its internal threat. It apparently is no longer Putin running these operations that were designed to hurt the West and raise money for bombs, but they still benefit, and that effort continues due to that funding. If Congress says niet, it slows down the funding, and this is not a priority, and Bidehul is taken out as operator of the laundromat, and there is less funding for bombs on that side of the effort, I would think any average Joe could see this would slow the war down. Bidehul has said on his websites, VVP has said this, we must find a way to stop this war, stop this disgusting war. Well, this is how you would do it. You would knock out the funding, expose it, make them shift. All the parties, including CIA, Mafia, us, make them do their counterfeiting, their laundering, whatever it is, through the gray economy and their parallel items. It'll slow it way down. Wouldn't it be fair if the other side is getting a niet as well? The people say, nope, less money for Ukraine in this effort. One of the things I like about the pressure that causes is we need to hear more from Jake and others to explain the theory. We're Americans. If you tell us we need to destroy Russia, set up that civil war and destroy it and take those warheads before China does, and they'll turn everything red, the whole world will go red, that's what we're up against. It's a race to get those warheads from China. And we know that our officials have pointed out, we thought it was better to have Ukraine fight Russian instead of us. Well, then give us the story, Jake. Please give everybody the story, what our plan is. It's not all secret. It can't be secret at this point. You'd have to explain it and talk about it. You have to offer comment, or we're going to have to make it up for you. That doesn't make any sense. Please explain the plan, why it's important for every good American to support the destruction. I know you say the vast majority. That means just about every American, Scott, except you. What's wrong with you? It's amazing. It's really interesting stuff. But let's just help Bidehul out of this position, give them a new laundromat operator, and we'll close all the porn stuff. And his influence will cease on the other platforms, which really hurts to rule or ruin. It's just all demon stuff. It's wicked evil. And the way things are edited on those platforms to disrupt what would be a presentation about good to be hijacked. An evil effort, confusion. One I feel it just pushes rage and sorrow the more you learn about it. There's no doubt we have to close the covens, shut down the witches, which will help reduce the funding of these wars and death and all his trafficking of children, whether it's for himself or the big guy. But the plan to grab the spawns he created with his breeders and use them and giving him a dose of his own medicine and having him lose interest. When he gives up on those kids, finally gives up and realizes the predators of the world have disgraced him, all his disgusting little antics he does in there to show that you need to lose interest in them and give up. You need to give up and lose interest in the opposite sex and getting together and continuing this thing. We're going to turn the tables. He's going to give up on those spawns. It might take a year of VVP torturing him with his own methods. But when he gives up, I want the interview. Forget Bundy. It's going to be huge. It might be up in the millions of victims, and then it would make him like a Himmler. But he's going to tell us how to help the children at that point. He's given up. He's broken. And he's going to come home, our brother. It's going to be wonderful. And he's going to say what we could do to stop the enemy and protect the children, slow the damage being done to little Johnny and Janie, because he says he loves them. Isn't it wonderful? He wants to stop the predators being used, the pedophiles being used like a tool. So it's Peter, London, and Miami, just for starts. Our players in London are Kylie at the top, and the Stokely family. It looks like two brothers and their dad. But I can't imagine that go down as part of this giant kiddie porn ring that Mr. Musk apparently uncovered. Back to the tools used to recruit folks to get them to OnlyFans, Chatterbait, Multimedia LLC, and that big Coven Cam house in Miami. I honestly believe the mob will cough them up, the CIA will run the witches off, and we will just simply replace the operator. Why not? Get a new operator and say goodbye to this porn out of control control, destroy the kids, destroy the human race. I don't see why mom and dad can't do it. It's important to know it's not just the porno sites, but we can kill the witches that are doing that and much, much more for him. That'll help the population control freaks and babushka. And we don't need the witches. The ladies will show us how to. Take care of the children and the fellers. I know, ladies, it's a lot, but we don't need him. That's for sure. I'm excited about that. It's really easy for you, if you know what I mean. It's so easy for you. Let's get rid of him. You're not toilets and sows. Please. It's so sick. That's next time on Breaking Bidehul.
Places we got her, digging in the dirt. Find the places we got her.